I give you Bob Armstrong. And Bob, I
Oh,
didn't get a good read on what you wanted to talk about, but I was clear that you wanted to talk. So you're on. The first thing is that you may want to establish the goals.
yeah. Well, I had in that uh, note, was this the one? Um, anyway, the first thing that I wanted to start with, uh, by the way, I have some notes and so forth on the talks earlier. And one thing I'll mention that anybody involved in APL, because its market ends up being money centers, financial calculations, one of the first things you do is get a day of week function. And it's all obvious that one of my most F12 goes and gives the current date, so you have time-stamped pitches. But one of the first things that I mentioned in here is, and this is somewhat very much influenced by the fact that there's a call for papers for touring awards, and Ken Iverson, who created really the father of APL, got his back in 1979. And that was sort of partly because a year or two before, John Bacchus had mentioned him as breaking the von Neumann bottleneck. But in any case, I mean, there's no question that to me, the other great, language creators is Chuck. And so, this may be something that, I mean, Forth is so outside the mainstream. I mean, APL was. I happened to just see a YouTube by, what's his name, Kernighan or something, who wrote, co-authored Ritchie and the base C. But he talked about all these languages, entire languages, and neither APL nor Forth was mentioned in his recent talk. And I mean, this is the thing. So anyway, the instructions for making a pitch for I mean, really, it just is. Like I said in my note, it does not reflect well on the ACM that Chuck has not received a touring. And one of my, sort of a selfish reason is I really would like to hear his talk. I'd like to read his talk, because it motivates people to condense. And it's interesting that Jeffrey Hinton, who I've mentioned, was around Northwestern for a short time when I was there, has been this year's one of this year's winners for AI, for being the father of AI. And of course, that's in a sense why we ended up hanging around the same hallways a few times. Anyway, to get down to, so that's my pitch. So anybody who and I sent my letter, is sitting here somewhere, that I sent, but essentially it's saying, hey, this guy, I want to hear his talk. I want to hear his talk. Anyway, in my last account, discussion, well, this is what the blurb was, discussion of my last talk on accounting vocabulary, mainly centered on how, well, the discussion, and this was Brad and other people, but mainly centered on how the hell you learn an offbeat language like Forth or APL. And one of the things, and an important thing, is that people pay good money to learn hard vocabularies. And I mean, there's nothing harder than mathematical physics, and or processor structures, good processor architectures. And skipping ahead, I'm hitting Control F9 actually to go and pull up the presentation that was given, but all of the stuff after all of this was all about this whole issue. And so pull up that, and it comes into one of the things is you have a lot of vocabularies that are highly related. So you have schools of vocabularies, like all these part before, and an awful lot of it is about parsing and so forth. So you can pull up that. But one of the things is, and this is a situation that CoSy's in now, Forth was very fortunate to have Leo Brody, brilliant writer, technical subject. But this is the thing is you go to someplace, there are dozens of books on, getting across with the vocabulary. And one of the things is there's no question that CoSy, which uniquely bridges from Iverson to, well, actually up from more, implements Iverson in more. It's non-trivial, but one of the things in terms of the investment, and this is something you'll see that rather uniquely, I actually give, these talks, it's actually in my notes, or in, you can download this, and it's all interactively executing in Forth. I'm not going off to some other environment. And programming is just part of your life, like writing. I mean, this is my notebook, and some lines the computer can understand. And programming is just asking the computer to do something. So, and really to be able to do that, it requires a human scale of vocabulary. And I think currently in CoSy, executed about 20. Well, I can do it right here, because this is the thing. Actually, I'll use a word. I never remember the exact spelling and so forth. Words. You see this tick here goes and just simply returns the next word. So this is handing the word to words. And I couldn't remember how I'd alphabetize or how I'd capitalize this. So this is the list of all the words in CoSy and all the vocabularies in CoSy. And this is count. So there are 2,354 words across all the vocabularies, which go down to the assembler. And I didn't mean to interject that here, but the point that I can do that is sort of, I can follow my thoughts. And one of the things is you can look at definitions, and this is unique. When in doubt, and one of my aphorisms is the code is the theory. And you simply can't do that, as far as I know, in any other environment. You can't, because they're not open. Particularly, I'd say at the APL end, the entire Ken Iverson's real goal was to through the generality. I mean, this is simplicity in the mathematical, sense, where you have matrix. I couldn't handle even statistics until I learned that you can write it as matrix A plus B, or in CoSy A B plus. But it's that generality, and I believe sort of it's a matter of getting the essence out of things. And one of the things is Control F9 again. This is sort of my main language page, and you see it really is everything. It's all about learning vocabulary. In the beginning is the dictionary, and actually out of one of these, and then here my quote from Chuck is, "I've gone to some lengths to simplify." I mean, that's such an understatement of his. I mean, this is the thing this is language for people obsessed with simplicity, in some sort of an esoteric way. And this quote from Winston Churchill, actually, I think, out of intense complexities, intense simplicities emerge. And then broadly speaking, the short words are the best, and the old words, when short, are best of all. So getting into the help tools that are available in CoSy, one of the things is all other languages have horizons. I mean, you generally levels you can't go below. The language is defined at some level, but also on the upper side, the vocabulary is you need always higher level words to succinctly express what you want to do and be able to write a sentence in it. And one of those things, this is what comes out a couple before that last talk, I think even. There'd been this discussion on British APL Association Zoom. They're not as good at getting their Zooms up, but one of the main guys, the designers and so forth, the Dialogue APL. I've got the link here. Essentially, Dialogue sort of supports this try APL. And so this is the APL environment, and one of the things that is nice about their thing, and let me see if I can make that bigger. They actually have, because APL has symbols, they've got this so that you have that there's more, but this is all about teaching it. And so this is iota is one of the most fundamental words in APL. You see there, although it goes off the screen, is no, I can go +/. I think that no, but anyway, that's their environment. And that sort of is the thing that CoSy, getting back over here, is unique in being commanded. I mean, you commanded by writing a sentence that CoSy understands. It's in the same open language as it is written in, and so to go and understand something, I'm gonna I'll it's all about trying to learn things. And let me go and open up. Oh, cancel. Why did that? No, that's odd that came up. I don't know. I'll forget that. Oh, Oh, it's because I tried to open it as a web. Let me jump down here. F1, of course, is always your fundamental help. And so I'm hitting F1. And it's got what the keys are. And the most important one in CoSy is if instead of hitting enter, you hit F6, it goes in and evaluates the line under the cursor. So virtually only in APL or in Forth, you need this interactive environment to you need to be able to write a line down that you can execute to have that really work. And that actually is essentially the very, very earliest distinction, the very earliest proto versions of CoSy. That was the thing is just executing something, programming is just hitting a different key. But you also see that these others that are rather important for keeping on the note-taking side is you can insert timestamps, or you can insert these timestamps in either way, or you can insert a day line. And you can see from my day lines actually that the day of week calculations are in there, and actually in the notes I've got links to where Ron Aaron, who is Orthodox Jew, is really into calendars, so all the day of week calculations are all there. I got a link above during Bill's talk. Anyway, well, I'll hit this. I meant to hit F6 and execute this line, which opens up. This is the starting job if you download CoSy and get it running, you end up in something like this, and it's essentially it's saying, just if I start reading and executing through here, write something like ASDF is the simplest, and hit F11. Whoop. And oh, by the way, yeah, I need to get really away from this development interface. I'll call it that. But yeah, there's some sort of a bug that is somewhat involved with I'll skip that. I don't know what that's a bug that is anyway. Normally, when you open that, it just starts working you through things, and in case something like that happened, I guess partly. Where do I have? Well, actually, I've added a button to make a thing. So actually, this is one of those things you ask about words. Something that is fantastic is Chuck simplicity and white space being the prime delimiter. So this is a CoSy dictionary file, a whole workspace, if you will, or job. But F with an arrow, uppercase F with an arrow is file read. And then file read and convert it from the flat file into the actual dictionary that it is. And then this is just grabbing the text from that, which is the text we had before. So I can just go through this, and this goes through my Hello World demo. But then it goes on, and this is sort of basic, help, and it's all executable. So as you come down through here, you can execute the lines, and definitely feedback on how effective or what's confusing or whatever in there is something that's very important to get. But now this gets down to the actual help vocabulary here. And this is a somewhat confusing line because actually it's tick again, turning the next word, and then question mark, searches through all of the scripts that go into loading CoSy for all occurrences of the word or phrase, and it returns everything that is surrounded by totally blank lines. So I execute that, and obviously any result always comes up here. But so this is actually kind of interesting in the definition of it, because this falls through to this underlying definition. But what the colon question mark does is it goes and finds things that have colon space in front of them. So well, you'll see probably in other things, but in any case, one of the things about that is that you see, I should give it, well, I do have further down, but something, and this is something that is unique to Forth and just people in other languages. I got to say, at the APL level and in general, people are just, they just don't expect that you can possibly go and be showing what the actual underlying machine language is. But this is, you'll see the definition, and one of the things is the higher level words get, the more it becomes calls to other words. Oh, and one thing Riva does have is tail recursion. So you've got okay, everything you can even look at all occurrences of a word in other definitions and so forth, or you can look at just its definition and the material around it. But the final one is legacy. Ron, I thought I was on this line. This is Ron Aaron's the underlying Riva definitions, which are essentially the that's all the standard Forth definitions plus well, the vocabularies that are, he's got these classes and certain vocabularies and so forth, so you can ask for that. But that help system hasn't really been integrated. Finally, and this is the thing, is when an ecosystem, when some language, enough of a language discussions going on, a point is most definitions in CoSy are, they'll fit in a tweet. So ask, how do I do something? Well, a tweet or two should generally get the answer. So let me, and one of the things that's important is whenever I either execute something or hit a timestamp, it saves the entire environment. And as you've seen, when an error occurs and it restarts, reboots, which is a lesson from Apollo 11, it's actually recompiling all of CoSy at that point in time. So one of the things I think you hopefully get out of this is that also in terms of a Forth programming environment, this is quite powerful. So with that, any questions, any comments? Stunned silence.
I have a question, and that is with regard to your fourth day talk. May I count on you for perhaps what's what's CoSy and what's new and exciting in CoSy, and how do you get started in CoSy, that sort of thing, or do you have other
Yeah,
things in mind?
definitely. There's a bunch going on. One of the things is partly thanks to my friend Karthik Krishna, who's pulled me out into humanity a little. I've been talking, having some you know business oriented meetings, and one with like this guy who is one of the top at the local University of Colorado in Colorado Springs computer science department, and he also runs entrepreneurial. It's involved in, I mean, one of the things is the whole business of entrepreneurship, mentoring, and so forth has really become quite an industry in itself. But anyway, yeah, I've got a lot going on, and getting again actually getting the accounting, because now we actually here. Oh, I'll ask a question that is thinking right now. We now are starting to have some people. We've got this, the dozen acres I have here is really, you've seen, if I turn the camera this way, I'm looking at Pikes Peak, which is kind of cloudy. This was our first snow. But we've got, actually, it's listed with a group called Hip Camp as something like Armstrong Highlands. But for multiple reasons, I'm also thinking of making the name. Long ago, it was WPB&B for Woodland Park B&B. But in any case, one of the things is, I'm thinking a question that I'm thinking I'd like to have call the damn thing CoSy Ashram. So anybody who has any thoughts on whether to go and just make this CoSy Ashram, and I've got history behind my own personal vision of an ashram, but essentially it's a beautiful place. Anyway, the thing is, we're getting some cash flow, so I'm spending all my time that I can force myself to do on getting the accounting structure for all of the business in order.
Okay, I don't understand that was an answer to my question, but let's move on since we're running out of time. Bear in mind that after the recorder stops, you can all continue to use the room anytime, any day. It's open 24/7. Please feel free to use it as you will. Last month, I think we took a screenshot of those of us that were here at the end of the meeting. Maybe it'd be better to do it earlier on or in the middle or something during intermission. Maybe we should have an intermission. Who knows? So Brad will take a screenshot, and I just want to be sure that all of you that have your picture up on the screen are willing to have it published in the meeting notes, because that was an issue last time, and I think that we didn't clear it in advance, and I felt a little bit uneasy about publishing it. But it's I sort of wanted just the list, but I think that the pictures are worth 1,000 words. Some of them unpublishable, but that's a separate issue. So, Brad, would you like the fuse on the screenshot?
Will do. Say cheese, everybody.
Cheese, everybody. That's altogether a different kind of flying. Altogether a different kind of flying. All together now. Never mind. That's a gag from Airplane.
All right.
So, with that, I think it's time to close the meeting and turn off the recorder.
Oh, I've got one input before we break up, okay?
Sure.
All righty. A little just a little embellishment. I researched back on the calendar shift, and it turned out Europe transitioned from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar in the 1500s under the direction of the Pope. But England, being an anti-papist establishment, took 200 years to change over. So in 1752, England and the U.S. colonies changed over to the Gregorian calendar. And the reason that leap year day is on February 28th or 29th is that in the old Roman calendar, March 1 was the first day of the year. So March 1 was New Year's. And that's why, for example, December is 10 in Latin, and that was the 10th month after March. And January and February were the end of the year. But when the Gregorian calendar went in, and so they were following the same algorithm that we did today with that formula, in that the first day of analysis is the first day after leap year, and 4 years later leap year is the conclusion. And that was the form of the old original Roman Julian calendar. It all got shuffled around when they went to the Gregorian calendar, and January 1 became the new year. Part of that was they wanted to get religious holidays properly aligned according to church canon, and so that's why January became the start of the current year. So that's our little summary on calendar shifts.
All right. With that, I repeat, let's unceremoniously pull the plug on the recorder and call it a day.